Happy August 1st, everyone! It is the first day of Battleathon, which is a competitive team-based readathon that I'm co-hosting all month long in August, where you get points for your star rating. So essentially we want to be reading 5-star books. And I mean, the number one thing that's giving me 5 stars these days is Romantasy, so I figured the 3rd episode of the Every Romantasy Challenge was perfect for this month. I'll leave the announcement video to both of those things down below for you to go check out. Every Romantasy Challenge is a challenge I created on my channel that you can do at any time. I gave myself 3 months to complete it, and I'm almost done. I'll be reading Blood Sanctuary by Villa Roth for the Friends to Lovers prompt, as well as the sequel for the Unlocking Tropes part. This will also hit the bonus challenge for me of vampires, and I'm hoping it hits a couple micro tropes along the way as well. And then lastly, I will have Bodyguard left, which is a hard square to fill in my opinion, but I love bodyguard romances when I read them. And I'll be reading The Claw and the Crown by Sarah M. Craddock. This is an enemies to lovers bodyguard situation, and I'm very excited to dive into this one. It's a standalone, so that has me super excited, and I'm hoping this one fits a couple micro tropes as well. I will have a few bonus challenges left, so I know I will also be reading Road of Bones in this to hit that Viking bonus challenge, and this will probably hit a few micro tropes for me. I think the last thing I'm gonna have left is dragons, and we'll see if I can complete that in this video as well. I would really like to have a blackout board, but the bonus challenges technically weren't necessary in order to feel completed and to pat myself on the back. I have started my first book. Last night I started Claw on the Ground. I'm 120 pages into this. I giggled so hard last night. I didn't know what to expect from this book, but it was not this, and I think the writing is so strong. I am sitting here sending messages to everyone of all my favorite lines and being like, do you see this quote? Like, the quotes are so good. The enemies to lovers vibes are so good. Honestly, it's kind of giving House of Dragons slightly, because essentially we have a line of characters, a bloodline that rules this island, that left the mainland to come to this island, and on their journey they lost pretty much all of their people. And when they got here, there was a sickness that they seemed to not be able to beat, and so it's also killing off all their people. So continuing this bloodline is like one of the main focuses. So the kings of this land do not take wives, they take harems, they take concubines essentially. And it is the prince's consort naming day, where they will name his 5 chosen concubines. They list in like an order of a hierarchy, and the one is technically going to be the queen, and she will have the king kids that will be the next heir, but the other ones will have kids as well. Their entire life goal is to have kids essentially. These 5 women are supposed to spread their legs, have his kids, but I will say I think it's interesting that they say when she's pregnant she can sleep with whoever they want. Like, they don't need her to love the king, they just need her children bearing years. And we follow our main character, who is the prince's childhood sweetheart, who has been told all her life she would never be fit to be queen, which works for her because although she is in love with the prince, she wants to leave this island. She does not want to be stuck. She wants her freedom. But of course, on this naming day, there is a splash in the water, and she is named as the #1 consort. So she is going to be the queen. This is the last thing she's ever wanted, and she is not willing to do what she needs to do for this prince. She's going to find a way off the island. But insert their bodyguards. Each of the 5 consorts get a bodyguard that has trained for a year and outlasted, like they've won against 3,000 other bodyguards. I guess they aren't bodyguards yet. Soldiers, warriors, whatever. They win, and they end up also being ranked, and they each get to guard one of the consorts. They have to live, breathe, sleep with this consort. So essentially they sleep in their rooms. They're there at all times to protect them, to make sure that they are not sleeping with anyone other than the prince. There can be no doubt that the prince's sons are his sons. Only once she's pregnant is she allowed to go sleep around. But our bodyguard in this is here for not the right reasons. He's here for revenge, and the easiest way to get revenge is to ruin the bloodline. It kind of feels dumb to me that you're putting someone inside their room that, like, in my opinion, cut off their wing, because then they literally cannot sleep with them. But I'm loving this. Like, the vibes of this are really fun. I'm giggling, I'm laughing. Like, there is a decent amount of smut, but it's not like super smut heavy. I would say 2 peppers right now. 100 pages in, I'm already at 2 peppers. I love being in like the bodyguard's head. He hates her. But like, listen, internal monologue when he's looking at her, he goes, "When you invite me to your bed, I'll teach you things your prince will know you didn't learn from your own imagination." Another line is, "I have come to Duncarrow to fuck you, princess. But by the time it happens, you'll be begging me for it." I love the lines, but there's also good quotes on, like, there's a quote somewhere in this, there's a line somewhere in this about, like, she calls herself a whore and her friend is like, don't use that word. That's their word for us. Don't give them more power. And I think that there's going to be some really strong plot lines in this that I really like. I'm also hoping we see some strong women power happening between the 5 consorts, because essentially at this moment in time they're not allowed to talk to each other and we don't know why. And I'm hoping that they like bond together. I'm really enjoying this. I cannot wait to sit down in the next like 4 hours I get to read this. I have a craft and chill on Patreon, and then I need to record my wrap up, and then sprints happen for Battleathon, and I will be reading this. I finished The Claw on the Ground, and I didn't really update you a lot in this one. To be honest, my feelings were spiraling, and I just didn't know how to talk about it, so I just avoided talking about it. Very healthy. I know. I'm honestly mostly just frustrated at this book. I see a 5-star rate in this book in what I read, in credits writing, in her lines, like her quotes, both the romantic quotes between him and her that were like enemies to lovers, good banter, him talking dirty to her saying like how she's been thirsty for so long and he's finally the only thing that's ever quenched her. Like them together, that vibe, beautiful. And then the lines that Credit writes about society, and this society specifically, also beautiful. Like her talking about a woman's power and how men try to take that away and how we shouldn't let them, and how they do this by making us feel little, or like making us feel like we have to do things because we would be looked down upon. Like her society discussions were something so deep and so beautiful. Like there's so many good quotes that I was saying in the Discord that I wanted to highlight, but there's just a flimsy plot in this for me. Like I just didn't understand how it made sense for her bodyguard to be with her at all times to stop someone from sleeping with her, and when they thought that he was sleeping with her, they did nothing. They were just like, well, we have to live with the choices we made. Like that made no sense to me, and I feel like just a small change in the plot, a small change in the story would have made it make sense. His purpose didn't need to be to stop others from sleeping with her. It could have just been to be his guard. His revenge did not need to revolve around sleeping with her, in my opinion. His revenge could have been getting close enough to the king to take them down, and the best way to do this was by being her guard. And then feelings start to happen, and when he saw her struggling with like her sexual freedom, like being forced into like this role that she's been forced into, he could have offered himself up the way he does in this story. It didn't need to have the background of him being there for a toxic reason. So like I'm struggling so hard with that part, but I still like giggled so much in this first half of the book. And then the second half of the book, again, I felt like there was flimsy plot to this really incredible world that was created and these like thought-provoking moments, and then we just like felt like things were forced in there to make the story move a certain direction. And it just frustrated me because like I saw the potential. I saw like how much I could have loved this if there had been small changes. I'm interested enough to continue on in the world. Drazen and Imril are like one of my favorite like couples that I've read. I mean, it's not like the healthiest relationship in the end. Like it's not toxic, I don't think, but like it's definitely not like the most natural romance. Like it's not about the romance. It's about what they offer each other, freedom and feelings and things like that. A choice to be made in a world where you had no choices. But like I just loved their lines together and the way they talked and like things like that, and how they helped each other like open up to whatever it was. And I really just got a good kick out of everyone talking about how they were in love with each other and how blind others were, and the like glares they gave each other, and someone being like, your guard is awfully protective, like he's staring us down right now and we're just talking, and like things like that. And I liked the politics in this. Like I liked so much in this story for just these flimsy plot moments to ruin it for me. There's also something in this that I just don't love, but like it makes sense to the story, so like I'm okay with it. I think at the end I'm settling on a 3.5. I want to round it up to a 4 just because I think I'm going to be thinking about the story for a long time. I think I'm going to be feeling the feelings and thinking about the conversations that were had in the story and some of the lines we got. So like in my head I want to give it a 4, but plot wise, cohesiveness, like how I feel about the actual story itself feels like a 3. So like I am kind of struggling. I think I may wait to like give this a final rating until my wrap up, because sometimes I just want to sit in my thoughts on a book book because sometimes, like, as I said, I might think about this book for the next month, and that means I think it's probably a 4, or I will forget about it and not think about picking up another book in this series. Again, there is a world here created. It's like a series of standalones. I actually think that this could have been better done as a duology to maybe not force the plot in to where it needed to be done sometimes. If we had given it a little bit more life and done a duology, maybe I just like live and breathe fanrow duologies. I do think I will try more from Credit though. I loved her writing. Her writing is beautiful. This does hit me for Bodyguard, and I think as well Almost Kisses. Blood Sanctuary. No one is more sad than I am to tell you that I'm finding this book so mediocre. I'm honestly quite bored by it. I am quite far in. I would say I'm probably 50% into part 1, so 25% into the total book. And I'm just like, where's the plot in this story? How are we on book 3? And these are chunky books, and I still don't really know where the story's going. Like, I need a little bit more action. It's very much world building and lore that's happening right now, which is what happened in the second book. But like, I thought by the time I got to the third book, considering how big this book is, we would get some action. There's too much world building for me, and I might have taken a little bit too long between each book because I've kind of forgotten who's who, and like, there's so much world building that I have to remember, and I'm like, I'm not gonna remember this. Like, I'm not gonna remember every little story you told me, and so some of it feels pointless. It feels like there's excess world building in this. I wish it was a little bit more tightened up and like, you know? But at the same time, like, I do love Leo and Cassia, so like, I am enjoying their moments together. I just like want more out of the story than I'm currently getting, if that makes sense. Also, if you don't know anything about this book, the first one is Blood Mercy. This is a vampire romance, but it's set on a different world. Like, it's not our world, so it's like high fantasy, and it's really, really like in-depth. As I said, like, there's a lot of world building in it. In this, we're essentially following Leo and Cassia, who are different species. Cassia is a human, Leo is a Hesperine, which is a vampire, and their species are at war, but every hundreds of years they come to make a treaty because they don't want to be at war. And so they make a treaty saying like, we will not cross these lines, we will not come into each other's lands, blah, 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 blah. So it's treaty time, and these two come together and they meet in the woods and they start chatting, and they kind of realize that there's more going on, that the treaty needs to happen for sure this time, and that there's some backhanded deals happening and things like that, and they get to know each other and they fall in love. It's a very political, like a very, very, very political story, and also Leo is a cinnamon roll MC. He is not enemies to lovers. I count all these stories as friends to lovers. I enjoyed the first two quite a bit, so I'm hoping that this one will pick up for me. I just finished part 1 of Blood Sanctuary. I am moving on to part 2 here. For Battleathon, I'm counting this as a separate book because I did have to buy a separate audiobook for each part, so I feel like that justifies me in counting it as a book. I'm giving it this part 3 stars. I'm trying not to judge it too harshly because it is half of an arc. The full arc is in the full story, but with part 1, I don't really see the point of the book. I don't know where the plot is. Like, there's no plot. We're essentially just existing with Cassia and Leo in this as they explore one another and they learn about each other's like kinds and the lore and the history of all their people, and just like learning more about their people together. But it's mostly just time spent with these two characters. Super, super, super character driven readers will like this, but I feel like you have to be so character driven because there's no action, there's no plot, there's nothing. It's just hanging out with these two as they live their life together. I need more than that, and if part 2 does not have more than that, it's getting a 2-star. Like, I do enjoy my time with them. Like, I don't hate reading the books because like the writing is nice and like the world building is really intricate, and I really enjoy that part. But if there's no plot in this, I'm gonna be severely disappointed. Moving on to part 2, I'll check in probably halfway through this or at some point when I tell you that there's plot or not. Okay, I cannot be the only one that Logan on TikTok has eating cucumbers constantly. I mean, I've been eating cucumbers constantly for a long time, but like, I've been watching his marinades and his system, and I really enjoy it. So we've made some cucumbers, and now let's try some. I'm still listening to Blood Sanctuary, still not vibing. It's just so boring. It's just so bloated. Like, it's for the girlies who want every little scene, every little character interaction. It's not for me plot action girlies. Like, I need to root for the characters, but I don't need to see them exist at all times together. That's a good marinade this time. I mean, you cannot go wrong with an Asian marinade on cucumbers. Perfect little midday pick-me-up. Also, my parents just got home and they brought me coffee. I have a delicious ice cap waiting for me, and I'm excited to try it. Okay, it is only like 6 hours later, but I'm eating more cucumbers. This time I made, oh, it smells really good, everything but the bagel. I followed this guy's recipe, except for that he put smoked salmon in it. I don't like smoked salmon, so I left that out. And I didn't have everything but the bagel seasoning, so I just put sesame seeds in it. I subbed a lot of things out, but I'm excited. This looks good. I mean, I put cucumbers on my bagels. That's good.
Drake's house just up to the left.
I'm in the final stages of Blood Sanctuary, but I made myself dinner. It's just like a peanut sauce udon with like soup dumplings, tteokbokki, and an egg. And I have a cranberry ginger ale. Good morning. I did something new with my coffee today, which is exciting. I feel like all of us, we're always looking to switch up our coffee routines because we get bored of the same old sometimes. So I decided I wanted something kind of sweet today. So I put butterscotch chocolate chips in the bottom and then let like the coffee melt it before I made it into an iced coffee. Sometimes you do have to go to the microwave a little bit. Honestly, it's perfection. It tastes like butterscotch in my opinion. Delicious. I also have breakfast. I'm back on my breakfast game. Trying to get protein into my life. I noticed when I was eating more protein, I was definitely feeling better. My walking pad also is supposed to come today, so we're living a healthier lifestyle these days. I have one peanut butter toast and then one which is like avocado and cottage cheese, which means I need to talk quick so that I can eat those. Last night, I did finish Blood Sanctuary. My thoughts are not the best on this. I'm giving it 3 stars. It was so mid. I don't even know if it deserves the 3 stars, but it's getting it because I just like love my time with Leo and Cassia and the world building. Like there is just really cool world building and a really cool concept in this story that has made me love it so much, even though this book was useless. Like, I fully think that this book did not need to exist. I am going to continue on in the series. I feel like I've invested too much time into the series to just, like, give up based on my experience with this book. I don't ever think books need to be this long. There's no reason for a book to be over 600 pages in my opinion. 700 max. Max. But this book is a big boy. This one itself was 450. I think the other one was roughly the same size. So it's an 800-page book and it had no business. No business. Villa Roth, it just does like a really good job at world building. So like this is for the character girlies. This just felt so bloated to me. It had so many things that I didn't necessarily need. I don't want to just spend my time with the characters in this world constantly. I want there to be like action and things happening, and nothing happened in this book besides like one little scene. There's one scene. Most of the things that came to play in this book were things set up before we even got to the Vampire Society, which is what really annoyed me about this book. I thought about giving it 2 stars for a while, but like I can't say I hated my time reading it because like I did enjoy Leo and Cassia and I enjoy the world that has been made. So it is gonna get a 3 star from me and I will continue on in the series. But that's my review on that. This will be my Friends to Lovers square. I'll be using it for a sequel since it's obviously a sequel, and it will have my vampire square. I could also use this for the 1-horse trope. There was a 1-horse scene in it. I don't know if it really was the exact trope that I think of when they share a horse, but they did share a horse, so I will use that for this. And then this morning while I was getting ready, also my hair curled so well from the braids last night. Like sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. I haven't braided my hair in so long, but I missed doing it because like it looks so good. I think it like looks so poofy and like big and voluminous. But I started Rotta Bones. I'm on chapter 5. I'm listening to the audiobook and so far I'm really enjoying it. Chapter 5 is like not far in at all. We're only about 30 pages in, but let me tell you, chapter 1 sold me on this book. Chapter 1 was so good. It was dark, it was gory, and then we got chapter 2 and I was like, whoo, I think I could like this. We haven't met the love interest yet and that's like my make it or break it in a romantasy, but the setup of this I really enjoyed. Essentially we're following our main character Scylla, who is running for her life. She has some sort of magic. I don't know whether she sees dead people or like it's something else, but like she sees this lady and no one else can know that she sees this lady or else she will be killed because the king right now doesn't like this type of magic, likes other type of magic. Essentially there's different gods that you can pray to in this story and the magic she has is a different god. And when her father is murdered, he tells her to run to this one place where she can seek safety, and he also tells her a few things about herself that she didn't know. And so she now has to go to the Road of Bones and try to survive on a month-long journey. So she ends up with some Vikings at some point. I haven't gotten to the Viking part yet. We've just like essentially started the journey, but I'm very intrigued. We're also talking about like vampire deers in this. She's like, oh, I gotta watch out for the vampire deer. Deer that suck the blood out of you? That's a nightmare creature. But like, I want to see one. I better get to see one in this. The walking pad has arrived. I'm gonna open it, see if I like it. I just got off the walking pad and it's insanely sad how sweaty I am from 20 minutes of walking. But could this be the best purchase I've made? Maybe. I did really enjoy it. Ow! Cat just attacked my paw. My paw? I don't have paws! My foot! Oh god. My brain is rotting. That's what's happening here. It's really bright. Oh my god. I'm so sorry. Hi. I made it to chapter 28. I actually read so much of this without realizing it, which is really good. Like, it's really easy to read. It's really, like, bingeable in that way. I'm finding it very cohesive, I guess is a good word for it. I'm liking the plot. Like, I'm interested in where the story is going. I'm interested in seeing why the queen wants Scylla. I'm interested in seeing how the Vikings react when they find out that the queen is chasing Scylla down or who Scylla really is. At the same time, I'm feeling just very mid about the story. I think it's the romance. I'm just not sold. I just don't really care. I just don't feel it. The chemistry is just not there. I feel like the book is trying to make fetch happen within their chemistry. Like, it's not working for me in terms of romance. But I really like both our characters, so I'm confused why I don't like them together. Like, I don't know what it's missing because I like her. She's strong-willed. She's maybe not the smartest, but she thinks on her feet. And he is a little bit broody, a little bit caring because he cares so much for his brother, a little bit like, ugh, and gruff. So like, I'm shocked that like I don't vibe with them together very much. And like, there are a lot of scenes of them together that I should like, so I don't know why I'm not, if that makes sense. But overall, like, I'm still enjoying the story, and I think at this point I'd be willing to continue on in the series and hope that like I fell in love, like the way that Spark the Everflame, the second book, really sold me. I'm hoping that maybe that happens with the Road of Bones. I do think it's different than I expected. I was expecting it to be a little more like, I am gruff man, I kill things. I don't know why. Especially on this Road of Bones, I was expecting the road to be like very dangerous and us to see a lot of like creatures and things like that. And that doesn't seem to be happening. I'm like, she could have walked this alone at this point. But yeah, those are my initial thoughts. Today is, what day is it? Tuesday. It's Tuesday. My sister and me are going for lunch at noon. We've been craving crab. To be honest, we've just been craving Captain's Boil. We've been eating there probably like once every 2 weeks. It's really bad, but like we can't get enough. So we're gonna go have Captain's Boil and maybe run some errands, things like that. I have to go to the library. I really should record a video. I got dressed up today. I look pretty cute. Like, I should record myself, record a reel, do the dang things. That's all. I'm hoping I will finish this today or tomorrow and I can move on because I think I still need a dragon book. So I need to figure out what I'm gonna read for that. Okay, I have made it farther into the book, and at this point, I do realize why I didn't love the love interest, why I wasn't like vibing with the romance. There's a love triangle in this book. Not a very good one in my opinion. Like, I'm not rooting really for either. I do like the third guy, the second guy. I guess he's the second guy. It's a third person love triangle, but he's the second guy. I like him because he's a little bit more like rough on the edges, and so I like their scenes together a lot more. But honestly, I'm struggling to care in this book. It reads like any other fantasy romance where like the main character's parents are killed off. She finds out they weren't actually her like blood parents. She has to go on the run. She meets some guys to help her on the run, and we're gonna figure out who she is as it goes on. Like, it's so basic in my opinion. I need something more unique, and I thought the Viking story was really gonna do it for me and be like a very unique setting. Honestly, I guess they use like axes and stuff, but other than that, like, I don't see the Vikingness. Maybe I just think a lot more like a rough when I hear Viking, but it's just like a band of guys who steal things. I don't know, it's like anything else that I've ever read. It just does not feel like, it honestly feels quite similar to like A Court This Cruel and Lovely setup, but like A Court This Cruel and Lovely had this like banter and this fun gigglingness that I was doing that it made me love it. Just in that like first half. Like I'm talking about the moments like on the horses with like the band in that book. It's just okay. We did get to see the vampire deer though, and that also let me down because I want to know what the heck a vampire deer even does. But it was like a split little scene and we didn't learn anything about the vampire deer. Like, why is it a vampire deer? Obviously it eats humans, but like give me the gross, itty, gritty details of your magic and your lore of the world. So yeah, I'm not vibing with this. I would honestly probably be DNFing it if I didn't have a book club, just because I know I'm not loving it. Like, there's other books that I would like to be reading over this one. Wah, wah, wah. I'll see you guys in a bit. I have more cucumbers to eat. Shake, shake, shake. I finished The Road of Bones. I'm a little conflicted on my feelings on this book. I liked the very ending and I'm curious to see what book 2 would be like. But most of this book was just so boring. It just felt so unoriginal to me. Like, this is like every other fanro I've read. Because the romance is not the main plot. Like, calling this a romantasy does this book a disservice. The romance is not really the main point of this at all. I struggled to root for the romance the entire book. There's a reason for that they do. So like, this book in itself, there's no romance in my opinion. Like, you can take the romance out of this and there is still a plot, which should be beneficial to the book. Like, that sounds like a positive to me. However, since the plot was just so unoriginal to me, like I've read it so many times, I needed that romance to like get me through it. So I struggled. But I did like the ending. I could be convinced to pick up book 2, so I think I'm gonna give it a 3-star. And I'm excited to like talk through it with everyone else on the live show for this, because I did read this because I am part of a book club in August called the Between the Covers Book Club. I'll leave the announcement video link down below. There will be a live show for this. I'll be talking through all my thoughts in more like spoiler depth, because I know like a lot of people love this. Like, I've seen this all over TikTok. Like, this is a TikTok hype book. I just don't get it. Like, this was boring. There's nothing wrong with it, but it was not an exciting, fun read. Maybe I've just read too many fantasy romance at this point. Who knows? There's like wrong time, right time, you know, situations with books. Maybe this was a wrong time. Maybe if I had read it a year earlier in my journey, I would have liked it more, but I don't know. I still think the romance was really flat for me, so it didn't matter. Like, I still think if I read it a year ago, I would have thought the romance was flat. 3 stars to this one. This will help me on the Every Romantasy challenge. Of course, I read it for that bonus challenge Vikings since I'm done all the tropes, but it also will hit Long Lost Heir. And I think I'm going to be changing my only one horse trope to this book, just because when I picked Blood Sanctuary for it, I said it wasn't like typically the like standard trope. They shared a horse, but it didn't fit like the tropiness of the trope. In this book, it does of course fit the tropiness of it, so I will be switching that to this, which leaves me with one last spot we gotta cross off. Dragons. Dragons. Who thought that this would be hard? Because when I made this, I didn't really think about it, because like Fourth Wing, I learned this is harder than I thought it was. I really should just get the audiobook of Queen of Shadows and go with this, but I don't think I'll finish this in time for this video to go out when I want it to go out. This one also has dragons on the edges, so I could maybe go with this one. But no, I've decided to shun the TBR of physical books that I own and get an audiobook. Who needs to read books that they actually own? I decided to pick up Promised in Fire by Jasmine Walt. This is literally called the Of Dragons and Fae series. It's about a dragon shifter and a fae. The audiobook is only 10 hours on regular speed, and I listen at like 2.5, 2.8. So I should be able to get this done in no time, which is really good because I leave for my cabin tomorrow night and I'm gonna get no reading done at the cabin, so I need to finish this before then. Good luck to me. Say it with me. Good luck, babe. In the comments down below. Yeah, I have started it. I'm on chapter 2. I have to say I don't like the audiobook. The male narrator isn't for me, and it does this thing that like has worked for me before but like rarely works for me, where like when it's the female's POV chapter, if the male talks, we get his voice, and sometimes I find it like kind of disturbing and like, oh my god, like I'm not expecting it. I'll get used to it as the story goes on. Like, I do get used to them, but yeah, I'm not sure how it feels so far. Maybe it should have been a physical read, but like audiobook, here we go. Hello. I am 50% through this book already. I told you I'd read really quickly. I've just been working on like bookmarks. I'm planning the Realmathon essentially currently. Realm needs to be done by November because I do a Patreon readathon that is themed around Realmathon. It like helps you choose which house, kind of like a Sorting Hat style readathon, and I did it last year and I'm doing it again this year and I'm really excited. I really like it, but that means I have to be done everything I need for Realmathon by November. So I've been working on bookmarks and teams currently, and I'm almost done. I'm working on my last bookmark, which is really exciting. They look so good. I'm so excited. This year's theme has me, like, it's got me in its clutches. It's gonna be so good. But I've been working on things while listening to this, and I truly think this audiobook would be a really good, like, gaming audiobook. It's a type of story that is, like, really easy to read. Somewhat predictable, somewhat, like, back of your brain. Like, you don't need to be prioritizing your thoughts while reading. You're just kind of, like, vibing with it. I don't think it is the next big series for me. I don't think I'm obsessed with it, but I'm enjoying it, and I would recommend it for that. Essentially, we're following our main character, who is a water fae living in the earth fae territories. So there are a bunch of elemental faes in this world. They kind of live in different lands. Her mother is an earth fae and she is a water fae. It is kind of unheard of, especially in like small villages, to see different types of elemental faes besides your own. So she's kind of a little bit of an outcast because of that, but also because she can't seem to access her power. She knows she has water power. She can do like simple things, like maybe like make a couple water drops happen, but she cannot like do the things that she should be doing with her magic at the age she is. But when the king's soldiers come to town in order to get new recruits for the army, she decides that she wants to go to the military because she's got nothing else for her, because she can't use her magic, so she may as well fight with like her body. It seems to be that she takes off an amulet that her mother makes her wear and finds out that she can actually wield not only water magic, but also fire magic, which that's like unheard of. But there's a prophecy, of course, about her. So she has to go on the run, where she stumbles across our main love interest, who is a dragon shifter who has been asleep for centuries. He saved his people, the other dragon shifters, by offering to go to sleep and protect this like portal that took them to a different realm. Now, this realm opens if he dies. So he was just kind of sleeping. No one was supposed to be able to wake him or anything, except for, of course, his beloved fated mate, who happens to be our main character. So we know that they're fated mates like second chapter in. It's not a spoiler. And that's why he ends up helping her. And I'm enjoying it. There's nothing like special about it. I'm not gonna be screaming from the rooftops. I'm not gonna be telling everyone to read it. But if you're looking for like just an audiobook to like game or cook or like I've been gaming a lot. Like I've been streaming on Twitch. I've been gaming a lot. Last night I downloaded what's the name? Oh my god, it's a fishing sushi making game. Something Mike. We're gonna Google it. Dave the Diver, not Mike. I was way off. Where did Mike come from? Last night I downloaded the Dave the Diver demo and I really liked that. So I actually do think that if I don't finish this today, I actually might switch to some reality TV while I'm doing some work. I might listen to this while I play Dave the Diver tonight, because I just think it's a really good like gaming audiobook. I finished Promised in Fire and I'm giving this book 3 stars. It was what it was. I enjoyed my time with it. I enjoyed the story and the world building and the aspects of it, but it's not a thought-provoking story for me. It's not something I'm going to be like, oh my god, recommending this to everyone. It's more of just like a background noise story, like something you can enjoy, but like it's not unique and the most like compelling story ever to read. I'm not sure I'm gonna continue just because they're Audible exclusive. If they were on some sort of app where I could get them all without like paying a lot of money, like Everand, which like I pay for technically, but like more than 1 book a month, or at my library or something, I think I would continue and binge through the series. I think it would be a really fun, easy read. Like it made me giggle a lot and I enjoyed that aspect. I'm intrigued where it's gonna go, but I don't think it's worth the Audible credit for me to know that I'm gonna give all of these books 3 stars. So it kind of sucks that they're Audible exclusive because of that. I enjoyed it. I had a good time, and it definitely crosses off the last thing on my list that I needed done, which was Dragons, which comes to a finishing point for the Every Romantasy challenge, which is pretty damn exciting. I really, really enjoyed making this challenge and going through it with all of you and the episodes every single month. It made me kind of realize some new things about my Romantasy reading and what I liked and what I didn't like. It made me branch out a little bit and read some things that like I would have never read before and that I really enjoyed. If we go back to that first episode, picking up Broken Bonds for Multiple Love Interests, picking up a Why Choose. I want to read more Why Choose now. I think that they could really work for me. I found some new favorites, found some ones I didn't like. I would love to know if you have finished this, if you're still still making progress in the Every Romantasy challenge, how you've been doing on it, if you enjoyed it, and if you did enjoy it, there's actually a new challenge coming to my channel, the Seasonal Spooky Challenge. The announcement video is right here for you to go check out. This runs exactly like the Every Romantasy challenge. It's just for like spooky content instead, with spooky season coming up. If you're not feeling chatty and you would just like to leave me an emoji to say you were here, leave me a wolf emoji for the claw on the ground, and have yourselves an absolutely remarkable day.